Market update here on the 14th. So the most important week in the last couple of years at least, this week coming up. So I'm going to go over most of the tech stocks and just give you the general direction of what I think. I think that supply, demand, moving averages, all that stuff is going to be less important this week rather than just getting the direction correct, because I think it's going to be more volatile. So you're going to see some big moves, and you just want to have the general direction known before it happens and know scenarios rather than relying on supply, demand, or moving averages, that kind of stuff. So let's go over SPX first. Went over it a bunch. I still think the third wave ended right here. I think this is the fourth wave, more than likely. I don't think you're going to see a lower low. I thought about it. I don't think you're probably going to see a lower low. It's already pretty much hit the top again. I think this is pretty much established as the low for the next, probably 6 months at least. So we get this move up. I think this is 5 waves here. This right here is debatable. I think it's a corrective move, though. So now you have two options. If that's a corrective move, we are either coming up here for a third wave. However, this right here didn't quite get back to the 0.5 fib. I guess it's fine, though. It's close to the 0.5 fib. But you do have 2 gaps below as well. I don't think this is probably ABC. I do have it on there as a possibility. I think that this is likely a first wave. I can pretty much remove that, I think. Let's just do 1. So this is a second wave, or you're going to get a second wave down here. So this would be some kind of bull trap right here. Oh, this is supposed to be A for that. So this could be A or 2. If it's A, we're working on a B wave right here. Don't get confused, the different colors. So the 2 possibilities are we just go straight up like that, and we make 5 waves. You go up to 6,000 to 6,500. That's the first possibility. The second more likely possibility, in my opinion, is a bull trap. Maybe we go up here to and make new highs. Maybe you go to 5,700 and then straight down. I'm looking at the 0.78 fib retracement, which is right around 52.34 as the most likely ending spot on this move, because there's going to be a lot of people just holding because rate cuts are supposed to be bullish, and so they're going to shake those people out. Not to mention we've gone on a crazy run in the last week, 5,400 all the way up to 56.26. So they could bring this to 5,700 and then completely pull the rug. Then this can go all the way down here to 5,200, fill these gaps, probably not make a new low, and then we could be looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 like that. That's what I see as the most likely scenario on SPX. So if we go to 5,700, 5,750, let's just say 5,700, and we drop to, we drop 9%, a big 9% drop down here. That's going to scare a lot of people. And they're going to get them out, and then we catch it down here. This would be a demand zone down here, and then we rise up into 2025. It's possible they play a few games up here too. Maybe they do this. Maybe they do A, pullback B, and then we get a move like this. and then it takes longer to play out. Maybe it takes into the election or something, or after the election, and then they melt it up. So I don't know exactly when this is going to drop, but that's kind of the overall pattern I'm looking for is something up in here and then drop and then up. That's the pattern I'm looking for. If we zoom out here on the daily, whoops. You can see here on the standard deviations, we are at the very top too. So 6,500 is going to be at 3 or 4 standard deviations, and then we're going to see a crash. Unless there's some kind of extension. But that's what I see as the most likely scenario on SPX. So going along with that, I already have it drawn up here on Nasdaq. Same thing. And I think it is actually possible that they do this, though. They do something like this, pull back, move like that, and then we get down like that, and then we go up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, actually, I'm sorry. Nasdaq is not a 5-wave move, in my opinion. It could be, but I think it's more than likely this is going to end up being a B wave. I think the top on Nasdaq was right there. That was the A wave down. We're working on a B wave right now. So there can be a lot of different things that could happen on a B wave. If you go back to 1929, the B wave went to the 3.61 fib. So that would be equivalent to the Nasdaq going all the way up here to like 29,000 and then crashed. So I'm saying the 5th wave's done here, but that does not mean the top. Does not mean the top. I think it's almost like close to 100% that we see a new high in the Nasdaq, and potentially much, much higher depending on how high they want to take it. But overall, I think you could see a pullback all the way to 18,000 before we get moving. So that's not really that big of a drop from here, but they're probably going to take it higher first and then drop it because there's still some upside on the individual names. Again, I think this is probably the low before we go up here. So now looking at Microsoft as the first tech name, same thing here. Looking for at least 444 to 454 and then a drop. If these are only going to drop 7-8%, then I would say Microsoft could drop back down to the low 400s. And again, probably starting a B wave. I have this as the 5th wave potentially. Could I be wrong? Maybe, but overall, I see this as a pretty big drop here. So 470 all the way down to 384. That's probably an A wave. That's probably not a start of a 4th wave. So we're working on a B wave on Microsoft, in my opinion, too. And it could go much higher as well. It could go all the way up to 527. Could go to the 2.61 fib. So I'm not saying that this is going to drop down to lower lows because I don't really don't think it's going to. I think that you're going to get some kind of combination again. You're going to get, this could even be something like that. And then you go up here. And then you pull back again and make one more high after that. It could be a long drawn out B wave. But short term, I'm looking for 443 on Microsoft before a pullback. So take out all the speculative, well, what's going to happen in 6 months from now. Short term, 443 to 454, then pullback. Apple, I'd say minimum 209 on the pullback. Potentially, if you get a bigger pullback, down here to weekly demand at 192. But I would say the same thing as the rest of them. I still have Apple as finishing off a diagonal. So I think this hits the 1.61 fib of this. So that's 209. Potentially all the way down here to 203. And then I'd be looking for more upside. Is it possible that this is an ABC move? Could be. But again, I think this is a minimum target right here. Minimum target's right around in there. If you zoom out here on Apple, I have this as a diagonal. Why is it a diagonal? This came back into this. So diagonal just means fourth wave comes into the first wave. We already got that. So now the question is, do we come all the way down here one more time, or is this going to be a second wave like this? Those are the two possibilities, 192 and up, or 205 to 210 and then up on Apple. And then probably stay within this parallel line, I'm guessing, so maybe we top out in February at 260. So Apple, probably looking for a drop too. They might play some games up here. Bitcoin, I think this can go up here to mid 60s, to high 60s before we drop down to 43,000. That's a bigger drop than the market I'm forecasting, but we'll see. This expanded pattern might not play out exactly as it's drawn up. Maybe it just drops down here to like 50,000. So I'm looking for high 60s though on Bitcoin. So if you're in like Mara or any of the miners, I think there's a very good chance they keep on going higher next week. I'll go over that here in a second. Meta, I think Meta is same thing. This is a B wave right here. And if this is a B wave, then you know there's going to be a drop at some point. So I think it's pretty much the same thing as the rest of them. I drew a parallel line here to show you that we are potentially in some kind of wedge too. But I would say it's likely this comes down to at least like 470, 480 at the max, same as Apple, the max down here to 397. But that'd be a huge drop. That would be a bigger drop than Apple. I'd say this is probably unlikely before it goes higher. So something like this down here and then probably up. I don't think this is a first wave though. So it's some kind of corrective pattern. Meta is one of the harder charts to look at, to be honest. This right here could even be a B wave because it finished 5 waves here and we got an impulse move down. This looks very impulsive to me, down. So we had 5 waves down, and then we got this move straight up from 85 bucks. It's likely a C wave, but yeah, we're about at the top of the parallel line here. So look for a little bit of a drop on Meta as well. Let's look at moving averages. I know I said I wasn't going to, but I'm curious where this is at on moving averages. So you got the 20 right around where I said 460, 470. That's likely a destination for Meta on a pullback. So look for that on Meta. Amazon. Amazon's one I actually did a little bit of looking into here. We got a big move down. We got this first wave up or A wave. Could be an A wave, so 1 or A. Whoops. We get a sharp move down, and then we get this move up. There's a gap here at 192. You're at the very top of the range in weekly supply. So this just goes along with what I'm saying with everything else. Basically, you're going to get up here they could play some games, and then I think you're going to get a drop like that. And then you're going to go up. Basically, there is a demand zone between 166 and 172. I think this could potentially hit 190 or maybe 192 before dropping down here to 160, 170. And then that's by the dip because I think that we're going to get it could be a 5-wave move. I haven't decided if this is a 4th wave or not. But you could get something like this. It would go to 200, pull back like that, or this would be the top right here. So either 5-wave move or you're going to get that. So basically, bull trap is happening this week into the Fed or a little bit after the Fed is what I'm going for. Maybe this lasts all the way into like September 25th-ish. But a week after the Fed, I would think that at that point, everyone's already digested everything and they're ready for the real move. Or I guess in that case, it'd be the fake move down. Nvidia, same thing. There's a gap at 124. I think we could hit that gap. And then I think we're gonna drop. I think it's likely this happens. Down here to 98 bucks. That'd be a pretty big drop though. That'd be about a 20% drop. Maybe it just comes down here. We have a wedge already started. So maybe down here to like 108. That would look like this. This makes a lot of sense, actually, a wedge. Something like that. But anyway, this is a very big demand zone anyway. Maybe it comes down to 98. Maybe it does a wedge. Either way, I think you're going to see more upside after that. Same thing with all of them. Is this the fifth wave for the whole cycle? Or was that the end of the third wave? In my opinion, this is the end of the fifth wave. Other people think it's the end of the third wave. I say end of the fifth wave. I think we're making a B wave. So regardless, I think this is going higher. So I think this can go to 157 on a move after this happens. If it's a third wave, then you're looking at it like that. So expect some games, bull trap, and then big drop into October, November, and then melt up in 2025. Tesla, I do videos on this like every day, so you probably heard me say it a bunch of different times. Same thing with Tesla. I think this can hit, it should hit the gap fill here at 246. That gives us like 7-8% higher. So maybe I'm a little bit short on these targets too, but Tesla, I think it can hit 245 to 248. Short term, this has been really stupid the last couple of days. Short term, is it possible that this was the end of the third wave? Let's try drawing parallel lines here and see. I still don't think that this is a, it's got to be though at this point. Based on what I'm saying with everything else, it's got to be going up. We don't really have time to drop unless it's a very short drop to like 220. I think that maybe this was the end of the third wave. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. That'd be the third wave. Let me zoom in here a little bit farther. And let's draw a parallel line here. So you can see here, third wave ended right here. Close enough to the 1.61 fib. Close enough. So I think this is probably the third wave at this point. Again, the other scenario is we drop to 220, and that is the ascending wedge. So that was a third wave right there. You can see this was an ABC move. We got a straight line up. And now we are likely in a fourth wave. So this could start off next week. Maybe something like that. But it can't go into the first wave. This is getting really sketchy at this point. Actually, this has got to be the fourth wave right here. So invalidation on this is going to be below 226.83. So next week, if I'm correct, then we should see Tesla at We should see Tesla at like 239 early in the week. And that would be dropping or getting above the weekly 20 as well, or the weekly 200. So that would be fifth wave right here and the overall third wave. This is a very sketchy impulse move, if that's what it is. And then pull back, and then one more move higher for this gap fill. Timing wise, this makes the most sense. That makes this ABC right here. And that makes this the 5-wave move, C wave up. The other possibility is that we're still in this B wave and we're going to come down here to like 220 and then go up. So Tesla, though, overall, let's get an idea of the drop that's possible on Tesla. Let's see where we're at on the standard deviation. So I'm on the regular chart. That's a problem. Okay. So we're making this ABC move up here to like 245. And you can see here that I'm looking for an E wave down here to potentially 160. If it were to go higher than this, 260, I would say maybe it gets caught up here in like 170, 180. And I know it's a big drop, but, and that's a really big drop. That is it's almost a 40% drop. 30% drop? Yeah, 30% drop there. So that's a bigger drop than a lot of the other stocks, so we'll see what happens. But I'm basically selling most of my stuff here at like 245 to 248. The 0.78 fib happens around there. And again, we did not hit the 0.78 fib to the downside on this move. So this move went, this I think is an A wave. I think we're working on a B wave. And the 0.78 fib on the retrace is at 160. If you take a parallel line from here, put it at 240, let's see, right here, takes it down to 166, so pretty close. The 1.61 fib of this is at 142, and there is a gap right there. Not saying we're going there, though. I think 160 max. So basically what I'm saying is I'm pretty bearish on Tesla after it hits 240. How would I be wrong? If I'm wrong, this would turn into a 5-wave move. Let me get rid of all this. How will I know I'm wrong? This would have to break this parallel line, and it would have to hit the 1.61 fib. 263, break the parallel line. It would have to really, really go. It would have to fly this week. We'd have to hit like 270 this week. If we don't hit it this week, it just gets worse and worse. It makes it have to go to 300, 285, etc. So again, this is a corrective move. This is likely an A wave, B wave. We're going to see a C wave down. So hopefully my targets are not too small on here. They might be. So if you know the overall movement of where it's going to go, or which way it's going to go, the trend, then you'll have to just follow it day by day, because who knows, maybe these do end up going down here to 360, 370. So we'll find out. What am I missing here as far as tech stocks? Google. Google's been falling like crazy. I played it right here and I sold up in here, and then I'm glad I did, because look what happened. Up pretty big though in the last couple days. I saw a lot of put selling on Google. So I have this as a 5-wave move potentially complete. And it's one of the oversold stocks, so Google might be the best play, to be honest. It's got to retrace to a minimum of 169. Filled this gap right here. Yeah, so, I mean, Google's probably going to pull back just like everything else. 10% takes it to lower lows. But if this is a corrective move, which I suspect it is, this looks like an A wave down, it doesn't really matter. So it could go up here and then pull back like that and then go like this. So Google is going to eventually retrace to 170. Not really that much to say about Google other than it's probably a pretty good buy right here. You're going to make all your money back. There's so many gaps up here. You have, unless something crazy happens with that DOJ investigation, you have gaps here at 164. You have a gap at 183. Small gaps been filled. So 183 and 164 have gaps. I would imagine at some point this hits 183. And let's look at the dollar now. The dollar and yield is going to be very important. What I'm seeing from the dollar is it has one more move down, which goes along with what I've been saying with everything. Basically, one more move up, dollar comes down, they lower rates, and then we get a move higher to a minimum of probably 106. No idea how long that will last, how quick it will be. No idea what will cause it. But I think that that's got to happen. So A, B, and then we get a C wave down for the final melt up in the market. After that's finished, that's a 6-month demand zone. We go much, much higher in the dollar, maybe up to 130. All right, let's look at miners. Mara. I think this is probably going to continue to go higher. Just based off the fact that I think Bitcoin's going to go higher. One thing to point out here, if you're in this stock, show you how figuring out the timing of the moves helps out a lot. So we get this move right here, WX. I personally think this is going to end up being ABC. This is an ABC move, and then this is going to end up being something like that. This move right here from the very top, February 28th down here, that's about, what, a month and a half? Anyway, when you go through all of this and take it all into account, this hit exactly where I expect to time-wise. Let's see, February 28th to July 17th, so that's about close to 5 months. We're about 2 months into it. When I did the actual calculation, it hit to the day, the bottom right here. So for that reason, I think that this is going to continue to go higher here. It could drop on the big move down. It's probably going to do that. But I expect Mara to hit about 42 bucks at some point. The 0.78 retracement on this is at 42 bucks. So if you look at that's a little bit higher. No, actually, I'm doing this wrong. It's this parallel line right here. 43 bucks. So I would expect it to hit around that area, and then I'm expecting this. So it's going to get really bad after that. So there might be some kind of playing around here again, but I think Bitcoin's going higher, so no reason to sell this right now if you're in it. And what else we got here? If you're in Symbiotic, you follow my advice, you probably made some money. Bounced right out of that weekly demand zone that I talked about. I was buying at 20, 19, 18, 17. I sold a little bit of it on this bounce, but just an overall easy play. Hit the 0.61 fib, buy into the demand zone, make money. What am I missing here? Anything else? Oh yeah, IWM, got to go over that. So IWM, going back to the video I did on this probably a couple weeks ago at this point, we get this move down, we get an A wave higher, we get a B wave to lower lows, and then look where the 1.61 fib is. 232. So is it possible that I'm wrong about this being a first wave? I would say it's highly unlikely, but possible that this goes all the way up to 232 first. Let's see where this would take us. Pretty close, 232. That would take out the highs, likely shake out some bears. But eventually, if this happens though, this would take out the bigger move. But it would also mean that we can still go down here to monthly demand around 176. So if we do take out the highs here, there's still going to be a plunge. That would be best case scenario. You could sell all your growth stocks up here and then rebuy it cheap when it comes down here. So overall, these are all ABC moves, so it is possible that we get that. And it's also possible that it does this. It could end up doing this too, though. Because again, this parallel line, there's probably some other parallel lines I could look at as well. But overall, I'm very confident that this is coming down here to at least like 175, 180. Regardless of if it shakes out the bears, it makes a new high right here. I think it's not going to get past the 1.61 fib. So we'll see if I'm right on that. And I think let's go over Boeing real quick and then I'm going to be done. So last video I said this is likely topped out. And they had some really bad news. I think they went on strike. The workers went on strike. I didn't read it all. I don't know exactly the details, but again, this is a very corrective move right here. So I think just like everything else, you're probably going to get, you could get a move down, and then you're probably going to get a move all the way up here, back above 200 in 2025, and then you're going to get this move down here. There's a gap all the way at 70 bucks. Not the stock that I really wanted to be in. I actually sold. Where did I sell at? I sold up here at, let's see, November. No, not here. I sold. I think I sold this area right here, maybe. Yeah, sometime in July. No, it was up here. I hit 196. There was a supply zone up here. I bought down in here and I sold right in here because I knew that this was a corrective move. And that's one good thing about this. You know this is a corrective move. So eventually, it's going to snap back. So that's a good thing about Boeing. If you're in it, you're probably going to make some money, but it's not a long-term hold. The reason it's not a long-term hold is because this is a C wave, and this is only the second wave of a C wave. So keep on holding Boeing if you're here. Even if it comes down here to 140, 150, buy more. It's going to come back up here to above 200. I'm going to leave it at that. I didn't go over AMD. AMD is going to be on the same path as Nvidia. That's pretty much it. Let's see what happens this week going into the Fed. I'll probably do videos leading up to the Fed as well. But that's my general thoughts on it. We're going to see a bull move into the Fed, maybe a little bit after the Fed throughout the week, and then we're going to crash. Crash correction, whatever you want to call it, probably at least 7, 8, 9, 10%, potentially more. So that's it for this video. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe for more updates. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the comments. Do you think we're going to go straight up? Do you think we're going to crash? Or do you think, what else do you think? Let me know. All right, have a good rest of the weekend. I will talk to you here soon.